Hey guys, it's Mark from the Sports Corner. It's week 6 in the NFL, and I'm here to give you my predictions, my best bets in the end, some player props I like here. We're going to go through all the games. I'm going to give you my predictions for all of them, so stay tuned. Last week, we went 2 or 3 in my best bets. My player props, the ones I told you guys, did really well last week as well. So 2 and 3 in my best bets. I think I should have went 3 and 3, but San Francisco's kicker gets hurt. So I believe if the kicker doesn't get hurt, the 49ers cover the game by 8 or 9 points, or maybe even a push. But you know what? That's the NFL. So I'm excited. I see some realistic winners here in week 6. So let's get it started. Let's win some money. Let's go. Well, we're heading back to England for this game. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Bears at 9:30 in the morning, with the Bears being favored at 1.5 and the over/under being 44 points. You know, Jaguars finally got on the board against the Colts. About time, I'm sure they're believing in the God they believe in, because it was not looking good. I mean, I'm sure Doug Peterson's seat was on fire, because I'm sure he's on his way out. Even at the end of the season, I think he's fired. They beat the Colts by 3 points. Very high scoring game. I think it was 37-34. Hard fought game, so they needed that kind of grit win that they got. But they're still 1-4. They're still a mess. Their defense is ranked 30th. Their defense is ranked 30th, as in they're laying 28 points a game against them. So people are just scoring on them at will. Travis Etienne is questionable for the game. So is Evan Ingram, and those are two good weapons they need. Tank Bigsby, though, he's been really great. He's the backup, or now he shares the rushing assignments with Antini. He has 273 yards on 34 carries with 2 touchdowns, so that's not bad. And at some points, he looks better than Travis. So something to keep an eye on, especially for the fantasy owners who have Travis. Trevor Lawrence is not too bad, not too great. I mean, he doesn't have the best weapons. I mean, Gabe Davis, I think, is not good. I think he's overhyped. Obviously. And the only weapon I think they got to throw to is because even Ingram is out, is the rookie, Brian Thomas Jr. Brian Thomas Jr. is killing it. 22 receptions for 397 yards and 3 TDs. That's some good production from a rookie. So that guy looks like he's a star in the making. So good for the pick there for the Jaguars. The offensive line has been pretty good for T-Law for the last 2 games, only allowing 2 sacks in the last 2 games. So like I said, good. He's getting protection. You're not getting to him. But, the guy still lost, and they almost lost the Colts. They lose the Texans, and they barely beat the Colts. So who cares if the offensive line is blocking that much if you can't get the win? Get the win. And 3 of the last 4 games were lost only by 5 points or less. That is, the Dolphins, Browns, and the Texans game were all real close. They lose those games, but they kept it close enough to, show that they're, not just dying in the gutter, that they're actually putting up a fight. It's not really their offense. It's not too terrible. Their offense is, they're putting up 201 yards passing a game. Not too great. You think you'd be better with T-Law, but like I said, T-Law doesn't have much weapons. The rushing is which is good. It's ranked 11th, and they're rushing 126 yards a game. But their defense has let up, like I said, 28 points a game. So they're just running up and down them. It's ranked 30th in the NFL, so not great. And they lost. Since after playing the Chicago in the NFC North, they have lost 7 straight against NFC North teams. That is not good. Not good whatsoever. But they got the big win against the Colts. That showed that they're willing to not just lay down and take a punishment, that they're willing to fight and win a game. And like I said, Peterson's job is on the line, and the rest of that staff, his coaching staff, jobs are on the line. So they're gonna want to fight as hard as they can. With the Bears are they're looking really good. They're on a win streak here. Caleb Williams had his best game last week. They won 2 in a row. Their only losses were close games. If you take a look at them, look at the numbers here. They lost 6 to the Texans and 5 to the Colts. Not too terrible. the Chicago have resorted to rushing the ball more, giving Caleb Williams not putting all on his shoulders and throwing 52 times like he did that one game, which was crazy. But yeah, they lost the Texans and the Colts, and they kept those real close. They're 3-2, and they've only lost a combination of only 11 points. So they are surprisingly not bad. Now the Bears have a good defense. They're always going to keep them in games, so that's the key to the Bears. Also, Swift is had great back-to-back good games, really good games. He is probably the key of why they can't just that the defenses playing the Bears have to focus not just on Caleb Williams and the great wide receivers they have. They have to pay attention to Swift now since he's putting up numbers. He has 285 all total yards in the last 2 games and 2 TDs. That's pretty good production right there. Like I said, Caleb Williams had his best game last week. He was 20 for 29, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He's only sacked once. Only sacked once. Who would have thought with that offensive line, the Bears offensive line? So maybe things are getting in motion. Maybe they're getting better. They are, they're humming. Everything's in a rhythm now. It kind of looks like that. What keeps me afraid of picking the Bears here, they're rolling. It seems like the offense is in rhythm. Caleb Williams had his best game last week. Swift is looking real good. Offensive line is helping Caleb Williams. Defense, I believe their defense is losing some players. They're not having their starting safety and their nickel corner for the game. I believe they're both banged up and not playing for the game. But what I'm worried about the most is the Bears. They haven't won an away game since week 12 of last year. Week 12, they haven't won of last year. They haven't won an away game, and they only won 2 away games last year. So, and they're going all the way to London, and they are not good at away games. Now, different quarterback than last year, sure, but he's still a rookie. They haven't won an away game here. All their wins are at home. The Titans, the Rams, and Panthers all came to Chicago, and they've only, like I said, they've only won 2 games at away from Chicago twice last year. So with that all being said, it's 2 teams. One team is 1-4. They could have been 2 wins, 3 wins. They dropped the ball in some games, and we have another team that's on a bit of a roll. Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears are 2-game winning streak, and it looks like they're getting better with every game. But the teams they've beat are not great. They're not good, And like I said, they're not good at away. Chicago Bears are not good when they leave Chicago. So with all that being said, a new quarterback, new head coach flying to London, playing against the Bears have a good defense. They're playing against the Jaguars, who could be without Travis Etienne and could be out with Ingram. So with the inexperience of being overseas in the Bears and the Jaguars not really having a good offense at all, I'm taking the under 44.5 here. I think this is a 23-20 game or 21-17 game. If I had to pick a team, I'd pick Chicago just on the defensive alone. They might be able to run and pound the ball with Swift and Johnson, and that could eat at the Jaguars and the defense holding them. But like I said, I think it's a 21-17 game, 23-20. But my best play is the under and the Jaguars and Bears game, under 44.5. All right. Well, we have a potential snooze fest of a game here. We have the Houston Texans playing the New England Patriots in New England on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time on CBS, with the Houston Texans being favored by 6.5 and the over-under being 38. Well, big news coming out of New England. Drake May being the quarterback, the guy out of North Carolina. They said, Brissett, sorry, you're boring. You are a black hole when it comes to the offense, which he is. Also, he's very slow. He can't move that well. And the Patriots' offensive line is not good. So with that being said, Henry is the only guy on the offense here for the Patriots. Hunter Henry has 16 receptions for 180 yards and no TDs. Not so great. But the main weapon on this Patriots offense, Stevenson is out. Now, Stevens has had some fumble problems, but in the Miami game, he didn't fumble once, and he had a great game. So he is out for this game with a foot problem, and Gibson being the guy who's going to probably replace him, and I believe the other guy is McCasty, the other guy from the 49ers. He's probably going to fill in some time. But Stevenson's out. Their main guy who, who the whole offense revolves around. So that's a big hit for Drake May as well. He doesn't have a reliable weapon there. They have the worst passing attack in the whole league. I don't know if Drake May is going to change that. I highly doubt that. The Texans defense could be a little stingy. So, don't play any player props for Drake May to go passing a lot. So I believe he won't. Like I said, they're averaging 131 yards rushing, which is ranked 8th. But that all has a lot to do with Stevenson. But he's out, so that's gonna take a hit. They're only averaging 12.4 points a game. God awful, which is ranked 31st, which is not good. And the Patriots have lost 7 straight at home. Patriots have lost 7 straight at home, and they're 1-4-1 against the spread in their last 6 games. Not good, really not good. How do you lose it? How do you lose this? Teams are putting up 20 points against them as well, which is ranked 9th. So their defense, is not as good. The Patriots always had at least a solid defense they could rely on. They can't even rely on that as well. So Drake May has a lot to do in front of him. A lot to do, and I don't think he's going to be the savior that some people may think, some sportscasters who are taking the Patriots to cover this number, because, who's Drake May going to go through? Douglas is not that good. Polk, he's a rookie, but, I'm not having high hopes for that guy either. Stevenson, their best weapon's out. You have Hunter Henry. Pretty much it. Bourne's their best weapon if he comes back this game. Bourne was on the PUP list, the PUP list, and I don't know if he's gonna play this game. I saw no indication that he was gonna play the game, so don't hang your hat on that. So no, Drake May is gonna be using his legs. He's gonna have to, because that crappy O-line, and since Stevenson's out, Drake May is gonna be probably rushing the ball quite a bit. So you might want to look at some player parlays for rushing yards with him. But let's get with the Texans. Big win against the Bills. They stopped the Bills. Bills were they're in the beginning were rolling teams, putting up a lot of points. But Texans hold them back and they win the game. Bills almost come back in the second half, but they held their ground. They held their ground pretty good. A little bit bad news. They don't have Nico Collins. They had the most receiving yards in all of the NFL, and looking like a top 10 wide receiver. The guy. Mr. Reliable. That guy could catch anything. But they have weapons. They still have weapons. Tank Dell and Diggs. That's pretty good. If somebody loses their star wide receiver, a lot of teams can't recover off from that. But the Texans, game planned well in the offseason. Tank Dell, and they traded for Diggs. Not a bad backup. And there's Schultz at tight end. I would love that. Any team would take those guys as backups. Or, as your star receivers hurt, and these are the guys you got to rely on. Who wouldn't be happy with that? So, Mixon was limited on practice on Thursday. Since Mixon's been out, the Texans have been struggling a bit. Their offense has been their running game is not so great. Akers and forgive me, I can't pronounce the other guy's name. They're not going to do it, So with Mixon being out, it was a big loss for them. But Pierce is practicing full, so I'm guessing if Mixon is out, Pierce will mix in with Akers and the other guy. So at least the Pierce gives him a little more boost, if you will. I'm not so confident in that, but they're second in passing, total passing in the league with 272 yards. So they are slinging that rock, really great. But they're crappy in rushing because Mixon's was out. They're only averaging 104 yards a game when rushing. They're putting up 22 points a game, almost 23 points a game. So decent numbers. But against their spread, they're 1-4-1 their last 6 games. 1 win, 4 losses, 1 draw in the last 6 games. Not good. But if you want to hang your hat on something, the Texans are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games against the Patriots. So with all that being said, the Texans, just the Patriots, the Texans had a hard fight game with the Bills. So, one can say that could drain them because that's the game they're focused on more than the Patriots. And maybe this could be a good game the Patriots come back and cover because they're looked over. But I'm not going to put my faith in a rookie quarterback that has a bad offensive line and no wide receiver weapons. And their best weapon on offense, Stevenson, is out for the game, the running back. So I can't do it. I don't know how anybody could take the Patriots to cover this. So you know where I'm going. I am taking Houston, and covering the number, the 6.5 number. And just another loss for the Patriots and probably getting a top 3 pick in this coming draft. This game has fireworks written all over it. We have 2 Swiss Army quarterbacks who are just going to go at it each other and put up a bunch of points. We have the Commanders versus the Ravens in Baltimore, with Baltimore being the favorite by 7 points and the over-under at 51.5 on CBS at 1 p.m. Like I said, both these guys are Swiss Army guys. They kill you with their legs or they kill you with their arm. Daniels, let's just get right to it, has 1,435 purpose yards with 8 touchdowns, only 2 picks. That's really great for a rookie. And Lamar Jackson's just killing it. For passing, he has 1,206 yards passing, 9 touchdowns, and 1 pick. So he's not throwing interceptions. I believe the Commanders are number 1 in scoring in the NFL, and the Ravens are number 2 in scoring. So that is nuts. But I want to take a step back there. I want to say the only thing that concerns me about the Commanders is that the teams they have defeated are not great. Those teams are not good. They're 4-1, and the 4 teams they've defeated, the 4 teams have a combined record of 6 wins and 14 losses. That's terrible. That's playing dog crap teams. And the only team they did lose to were the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers have a winning record. The Buccaneers put over 30 points on them, and they won by 10 or more points, I believe. So they only lost to the really good team in the first week in the NFL, it being the first week. So let's take that in consideration as well. They're pitting massive numbers. The Commanders, the 3 of the 4 games they've won, they put up 34 points or more. As you can tell, they're the number 1 scoring team. Daniel's not doing by himself. Robinson, the running back, who is out, by the way. Keep that in mind. Brian Robinson is out. He has over 400 all-purpose yards and 6 touchdowns and no turnovers. So not having him in this game is kind of a big thing there. They have 2 veteran receiver and tight end in Ertz and Scary Terry. 2 reliable guys. They don't have really big numbers, but sure hands for both of them. Their defense is only allowing 23 points a game, so not terrible for the Commanders. They're 2-1 games that they have played as underdogs on the money line, so they're 2-1 when playing the underdog role. And they're 4-1 against the spread this year in general. So that's another great thing to say, 4-1 against the spread this year. Another really great detailed statistic here, they score more points when they're away. They score 31 points at home in general altogether, but they score 33 points when they're playing on the road, and they're playing in Baltimore. So, you're seeing here points. Ravens are allowing the 2nd most passing yards per game and the 3rd most passing TDs. So you can pass in their secondary. They have a great rush defense, but you can pass. They no longer have that scary secondary they've had for years. You can pass on them. So the Commanders are looking real good, a little scary. I think they're a little bit of fool's gold, though. We'll see. I think this is the first game they're actually getting tested. The Buccaneers did put some points on them, but that's the first week. Now that they got their feet underneath them, the ball's rolling. They've won 4 games in a row. I think this is the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge the Commanders are going to have, and to show others that they are the number 1 team in the NFC East, and they can hold that position. I don't think they can, but let's see. Now let's get with the Ravens. The Ravens, tough game against the Bengals. They went all the way to overtime. Bengals should have won it. They blew it. Bengals are 1-4 this year, so trend for them. But Baltimore took advantage. They win the game. So number 1 rushing attack in the league, Baltimore Ravens, 211 yards. You got King Henry and Jackson. Who's surprised by that? 9th in passing yards. Lamar's slinging it pretty good. 2nd in points, 29.4, only behind the Commanders. But their defense is allowing 25 points, which is ranked 26, so not too great there. During this winning streak that the Ravens are going through right now, Lamar's killing his 9 touchdowns in this win streak, and King Henry is doing even better. King Henry has 442 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns during the streak. Those rushing yards and those touchdowns are the majority of everything he got total for the whole year. So they're just rolling on teams. They're humming. Everything's rolling on all the same cylinders. Another big statistic that stood out to me that I found out that the Ravens are 10-0 in their last 10 games against the NFC. So they take NFC teams and take them to the woodshed and just beat them. So I also saw that the Baltimore is, I think, 21, or Lamar Jackson's 21-1 or 21-2 against the NFC in his whole career. So the guy just rolls NFC teams, just slaps them silly, So with that being said, I think the paint is on the wall here. It is a big number for a team that's 4-1. 7 points is a lot, and a lot of teams are not covering 6.5 points, 7 points so far in this season. But I can see where this number's made. The Commanders haven't played really anybody that good. They played the Buccaneers, but look at the Buccaneers. They've had some little mishaps too this season. They're not world beaters. Their defense is not so great, but the writing's on the wall. Both these teams could score a crap ton. Baltimore, they have no secondary. The Commanders, their defense is nothing to write home about either. You could run the ball on them and you can pass the ball on them. So my best bet for this game, I have 2 of them. My best bet is definitely the over 51.5. I believe this is going to be a 34-30. 30-27 kind of game, or 30-24 with a last-minute touchdown to win the game. But I think they get that number. I really do. I predicted the over on the Bengals and Baltimore game last week, and Baltimore and the Bengals, they went over. They hit over 60 points. But my other play is I like Baltimore, Lamar Jackson to go over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I don't like the Redskins. I don't like the Commanders secondary. And I think that he gets the ball to their tight ends. I think Justice Hill might get a touchdown too. So give me my 2 best plays are the over 51.5 and Lamar Jackson over 1.5 passing TDs. And if I was to choose a team in this, I would take Baltimore minus the 6.5 or 7, wherever you can get it, because I just don't think the Commanders have played anybody really great, and this is their first big test. But I think the Baltimore comes to play. But most of all, I think both these teams just score a lot of points on each other, and they hit that over. So take the Baltimore and the Commanders over 51.5. All right, guys. We have my Philadelphia Eagles versus the Cleveland Browns in Philly, with Philadelphia being a favorite by 9.5 points. With the over-under being 42.5 in Philadelphia, like I said, 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Good news for the Eagles. They get A.J. Smith back, Lane Johnson, Devontae Smith. So good news. The best weapons on the Eagles are back besides Barkley. Lane Johnson, when he plays, when he's on that line protecting Hurts, the Eagles have a great record. They should be 3-1, not 2-2. Yeah, I've said that before, but losing to Atlanta that way, just bonehead moves by the coaching. But they should be 3-1. Barkley's killing it. The guy is doing great. I think Henry's the only person that has more rushing yards than him. He has 73 carries for 435 yards and 4 touchdowns. So the guy is killing it. Eagles, big number to cover. They're not going to cover this number if Hurts doesn't stop with the turnovers. The guy has turned the ball over every single game. It's like what's going on? Why are you weren't like this in 2022? Why are you fumbling and throwing picks? I just don't understand. The guy needs to put it together. So hopefully during the bye, Jalen Hurts fix these turnover issues. They should just be an actual, just a rushing team. Lean on Barkley, lean on Gainwell, and then open up with the play action, slant. Be a rushing team. Barkley could carry this team. Hopefully they make the right changes to do that. Jalen Hurts, all-purpose yards, has 1,903 yards and 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. I believe he has 1 or 2 fumbles too. So, not the best numbers, not the worst, but still, it's like, come on, you need more. You need to be more consistent if you want to actually feel like you're earning that money, that big contract that you got. Another bit of good news: the slot corner Avonte Maddox, who's been playing terrible for the Eagles, is probably getting replaced by Cooper DeJean, the second-round pick they drafted out of Iowa. I think that kid's going to be great. Hopefully he's great. But he can't be any worse than Avonte Maddox. So another change that this defense needs. Where else? If they could just consistently run the ball and wear down the Browns defense, and using A.J. Brown, the guy who has hands like glue and who's not afraid to go down the middle. He's always going to get you those tough yards. They can cover this number. But Barkley needs a good game. And I like Barkley as an anytime touchdown, so remember that. But let's get to the Browns. They're terrible. They're awful. What can you say about them? They have no running game. Ford is decent. They're waiting for Chubb to come back. Deshaun Watson passing, 852 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, 3 picks. I think he has over 125 yards rushing as well, and 1 touchdown and 1 fumble. So not bad. He's doing his best up there. Their offensive line is terrible. I think he's the most sacked quarterback in the league. The Eagles can't really get to the quarterback, so it really doesn't matter. And that's a good thing for the Browns to remember. Browns fans, the way you beat the Eagles, they can't rush the ball pretty well. They can't get after the quarterback, that is, and the rush defense is not that great either. So if you protect Watson, and Watson actually does a good ball to get your actually good, decent wide receivers in Cooper and Judy, you have a shot. And I believe the tight end for the Browns is questionable, but if he actually plays the game, that's another great thing. David Njoku, forgive me if I pronounce it wrong. If he plays, that's great. But the Browns have a laundry list of injuries. James Hudson, Jordan Hicks, Jack Conklin, Denzel Ward, Ethan Ponick, David Njoku, Jeremiah. They just have so many guys. I'm just going over and over and over again. All these guys are hurt or not going to play the game. So that's big. And that fits in well why the Eagles have this big number, 9.5. So, if they could protect Watson, they could get after the Eagles' defense. Another good thing for the Browns to hang their hat on is they're 20-14 against the spread as an underdog. Watson is, in his career, so that's not bad. Eagles are 5-10-2 against the spread as a 6-point favorite, so they're not really covering that number. And they're even worse when they're an 8-point favorite or more. They're 1-7 against the spread. So, I'm not liking this big number that they're thinking Vegas thinks they're going to cover, or but they may. I like the Eagles coming off the bye, but can they cover 9.5 points? Can they? The Browns have so many injuries. They look dysfunctional. They just look a mess. And their offensive line's all beat up. So when I look over the game, I look at all of the statistics. The Browns only putting up 15-8 points a game. I think they could put up more points against the Eagles. So I think the best play for this game is taking the over 42.5. I think Philadelphia, they will rush the ball and get Barkley out there, and then A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith is working off each other, and Dallas Goedert, who has over 300 yards receiving for a tight end, which is top 5, and so it's only going to help him out as well, and it's going to help the running game out as well. So I think with all the offensive weapons all back in Philadelphia. And Philadelphia not able to get to the quarterback too well. And they can't rush. They don't get sacks, which is going to give Watson the time to throw the ball. I think they get over this number. I think this is a 28-20 game or a 28-17 game. So give me the over 42.5, and I will, if I have to choose a team, I will take Philadelphia to cover 9.5 or 8.5. Try to get it 8.5 to cover that big number to beat the Browns. And I also like Barkley as an anytime touchdown player. So it's gonna be a fun game as an Eagles fan. I can't wait to watch it. But that's gonna be a tough number to cover. So give me the over. In this game, we're going all the way to Lambeau Field. We got the Green Bay Packers versus the Cardinals, with Green Bay being the favorite at 5.5, and the over and under being 47 points. Great win by the Arizona Cardinals, straight up beating the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers laying an egg. I know they lost their kicker, but still, what a bonehead move by the 49ers. Murray, that guy is just killing it, Murray. The guy has 927 yards passing with 7 touchdowns and 2 picks and 23 rushes for 247 yards and 1 touchdown. So the guy's getting it done with his legs. And it's just not him. Connor, really good, solid running back. The guy has 445 total yards and 3 touchdowns. So they have a lot of good weapons. Marvin Harrison Jr., tight end McBride. They have some good weapons, and they're making it happen. And Wilson, the other wide receiver, he's not too bad. Over 200 yards receiving with him. So they have good weapons, but they also all depend on Murray. Murray needs to play Superman a lot for them to win these games, and they need to put up a lot of points to win. But still, a very good surprise win that is against the 49ers. They picked Brock Purdy up. They intercept him twice, which is really great to see because the Cardinals' defense is not so great. They got a terrible rush defense, which is not good because the Packers are a very good rush offense. They're allowing teams to score 27.8 points against them. Not too good. They are putting up 24 points themselves, but you're giving away more than you're putting up. So not good. Can you do the math there? Not really good. So as you can see what I'm saying, Murray has to play Superman and outscore and outrun everybody for this team to succeed. They're 3-2 against the spread, and they're 2-0 against the spread as road dogs. So another good things to see. They're 5.5 dogs, and they're undefeated against the spread. So good numbers. With the Packers, one thing, they are getting a little too much hype. I still think the teams they've defeated have a combined record of 4 wins and 10 losses, so they're not really beating a lot of good teams here. They lost the Philadelphia Eagles, and they did lose to the Vikings, the 2 teams with the winning records. Both those games were close. They only lost to the Vikings by 2 points, and they only lost to the Eagles by 5 points. So in that game, blown out by these teams with winning records. But they are the wins they only have are against losing record teams, so that's not so great. Love he's turned the ball over a little too much for my liking. He got that big contract, just like Jalen Hurts, and these guys are just turning the ball left and right here. Love, he was out 2 games, so his numbers are 873 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, and 5 picks. Not terrible, but not the best either. Reed, their wide receiver, Reed, this guy has become their all-purpose Swiss Army knife do-it-all guy. He has 21 receptions for 414 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he has 8 carries for 110 yards for 2 touchdowns, with a total of 4 touchdowns. So this guy is doing great. Watson, I believe, was out for the game. He's questionable for the game, Watson, for the Packers, so they might be getting him back, so that's good news for the Packers. And, they got Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is just killing it. He has 402 yards rushing with 1 touchdown. So the guy is just killing it. And like I said, they're number 3 in the whole NFL for rushing, averaging 164 yards. And so not good for the Cardinals, as they are one of the worst rushing defenses in the league. So that all being said, Packers are 3-2 against the spread. They're 0-1 against the spread as home favorites. It's not too good there when they did that against the Vikings. So I think the best bet in this game, I think the Packers are going to pit up over 25 points a game in this game. So if you want to pit on Packers total points, I think I would take that. I think that's 25.5 points. I think they go over that. So you know where I'm getting to. The best bet for this game, I believe, is the over 47 points. I think the Murray's going to cause some problems for the Packers as he rushes the ball with his legs. And that making the play action a little bit better, or them, watching Murray a little too much and him going over the top. And I think the Packers are just going to run all over the Cardinals, which is with Reed and Jacobs, which leaves Love to hit his targets, and Kraft, their tight end, who's having a great back-to-back games. So he's looking like another nice weapon for them. So give me the over 47 as my best play. But I also like the Green Bay Packers to cover the 5.5 as well. But I think the over is the best play on this. Also, I would take Jordan Love over 1.5 touchdowns passing. I think, like I said, the Packers are putting up 25 to 30 points, and I think Jordan Love could get 2 passing touchdowns. So, I think the Packers cover the game. I think the goes over, and I think Jordan Love gets 2 touchdowns or more. All right, guys, I hope you have your snooze fest hats on, because we have our snooze fest of the game this week. The Colts with Anthony Richardson starting against the Titans, who Will Levis will be starting. So both quarterbacks were hurt last week. Both quarterbacks will be starting this game. Tennessee being favored by 3, the over and under being 43 points, 1 p.m. at CBS. So, Anthony Richards back. Michael Pittman, he does not, I believe he was doubtful, but now he's been moved to questionable. Yes, he was moved to questionable. So Pittman might play this game. I still think they might probably sit him out. Why risk him? Anyways, they don't have Taylor's out. Taylor, which is even a bigger loss for this Colts team. Taylor's out, and they have Sermon and Goodson as backups. Not good backups. The backups are terrible. So let's get to Anthony Richardson. Flacco was killing it. Flacco was killing it for this team. He was just lighting up other teams, looking like, vintage Flacco. He has great weapons in Pierce, Downs, and Pittman. Flacco was getting the ball to all of them, even without Jonathan Taylor. They did lose last week by 3 points to the Jaguars, but, they don't stay in that game if Richardson is playing. So starting Richardson, I don't think it's a good idea, but Flacco's in his 40s and Richardson's not. He's the possible future. So let's get to Richardson's number: 654 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 6 picks, 21 rushes for 141 yards and 1 touchdown. So the guy's turning the ball over a lot, and he's not getting to the ball to his receivers. So, with Richardson's back and without some of his weapons, they just need to establish the run. Even without Taylor, they need to just get these 2 running backs using Richardson on sweeps himself. Get Richardson out in space. Let him run. Sermon run. It's the only way I think they beat, they beat the Titans, actually, is they got to establish the run. The run has to be established. Like I said, last week, Flacco put the Colts on their back, because they had no run game. So he had to just put the whole team on his back. Both games, actually, when Richardson got hurt too. He just threw them on their back and won the first game, lost this game. So, I have the Colts, what's to say? That they don't have DeBuckner. He's not playing the game. Best running backs out the game, Taylor, and their number 1 wide receiver, Pittman, is questionable, and he was just doubtful. So not looking good. To maybe put some confidence in you if you're going to bet the Colts. They're 4-1 against the spread so far, and they're 1-1 against the spread on the road. So, they're covering spreads. They're putting up 23 points a game, which is ranked 13th. Not terrible, surprisingly, actually. Their passing and their rushing game is ranked 12th. Both are ranked 12th. So not bad numbers, but nothing to trust. Flacco helped those numbers out in the last 2 games. Let's go with Tennessee. Crazy maniac Will Levis is back. 604 yards passing for him, 4 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, just like Richardson. Pollard, though, a shining spot in this Tennessee's offense. Pollard, 61 carries for 246 yards and 2 touchdowns. With his receiving yards, it's a total of 333 total yards. So not bad. A good weapon for the Titans, who they should be relying on. They're spreading the ball around to their decent wide receiving core. Ridley, 9 receptions, 141 yards and 1 touchdown. Hopkins, 10 receptions, 121 yards and 1 touchdown. And Boyd, 10 receptions, 108 yards and no touchdowns. Colts are allowing 157 rushing yards a game, so that's good for Pollard. And Titans have won 8 straight games after a bye. So, awful versus good. I don't care if the Colts are 2-3, Titans are 1-3. They're both owned. The Colts are 0-2 away, and the Titans are 0-2 at home. So 2 terrible teams, 2 quarterbacks who are passing, who are giving the ball away. But I think with the injuries that are with the Colts, Buckner out, their best defensive lineman, one of the best running backs in the league, and Taylor being out, and they rely on him a lot. And Pittman being hurt, he was just doubtful. Now he's questionable. We'll see if they play him. Even if he does play, he's playing with back problems. So with all that, give me the better defense. Tennessee actually has a good defense, not bad. And give me the reliable running game of Pollard and the decent wide receiver core, the veterans and Ridley and Hopkins and Boyd. So give me Tennessee to cover the -3 because this Colts team is just too banged up and too many good weapons that are hurt. All right, guys, we have another starting rookie quarterback playing in this game. Tampa Bay versus the Saints, with Tampa Bay being a 3-point favorite, the over-under being 41.5. No David Carr. Spencer Rattler steps in, I believe, from South Carolina. A bit of a gunslinger, if I remember right. He has all the weapons in the world. Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, both those guys put up good numbers. But this whole offense runs around Alvin Kamara, and I think that's what they're just going to keep on doing. Pitting in Alvin's hands, pitting Alvin in space, giving Alvin Kamara the ball. Alvin Kamara, 91 carries for 388 yards and 5 touchdowns. I believe he leads the whole league in carries. 23 receptions for 214 yards and 1 touchdown. So 6 total touchdowns and over 600 all-purpose yards. So this all revolves around Alvin Kamara, even when David Carr was in. They rank 7th against the pass, so the defense is still good. Their secondary is looking solid and strong. You need that against Tampa Bay. They got Godwin and Mike Evans. Great 1-2 combo. They have Bruce Irving at running back and Rashad White. I don't think White's playing, so keep an eye on that. Baker Mayfield's killing it. 11 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions this year. Over 1,000 yards passing. They did lose a tough game last week to Atlanta, but they still put over 30 points in that game. The Buccaneers are getting back their starting right tackle, so that's great. But their starting center will not be playing the game, which is you're replacing one for the other. So I know they are getting back their first round pick from last year, the defensive tackle. And Antoine Winfield, one of the best safeties in the league, is a game-time decision. I don't believe he's played yet this season, so getting him back will be a big plus. Looking similar to the betting stats here, if you're betting for the New Orleans Saints, the Saints are 4-5 in games at home against NFC teams at home. So they're 4-5 at games at home against NFC teams. So they're covering good spreads when they're playing the NFC in New Orleans. The problem here is obviously the rookie quarterback. Can Spencer get the ball to these weapons? Can he get it to Rashid Shaheed? Can he get it to Olave? Can he get these balls to them? I don't know. I think they're gonna be relying on the running game a little bit more in this, with Williams and especially Alvin Kamara. So I think that's what they're gonna do. If the points just look so fishy to me, I just can't get past that. So I think it's gonna be a low-scoring game. But if I'm gonna pick this game, I like Tampa Bay covering the 3 points. Well, we got a little bit of a snooze game. This game is a bit of a snooze game because Pittsburgh, usually don't score a lot of points, but they're putting some nice numbers up, and Fields is looking more comfortable, and they're playing the lonely, crappy Las Vegas Raiders. Pittsburgh are favored by 3. The over-under is 36.5 on CBS at 4 p.m. What can you say about the Raiders? They're replacing Gardner Minshew finally. Thank God. He wasn't Gardner wasn't terrible. He had 1,000 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and 5 picks. But if you saw him play, not too good. A lot of incompletions. O'Connell, so far this season has been playing a lot, but so far he's 196 yards passing and 1 touchdown and 1 interception. No Devontae Adams because he's on the trading block, so I don't expect them to have him playing at all because they don't want him to get hurt. They'll probably trade him within the week, I saw. So no Devontae Adams, their biggest weapon. Max Crosby and their starting running back White are all beat up. They're not trending the right way, so keep an eye on that. If they don't have Max Crosby, this team is a different team. They're only rushing 84 yards a game. So that's ranked 30th in the league. And they're allowing 26 points a game by opposing teams, which is ranked 28th. So teams are just scoring on them, 26 points a game. Not good. I guess a bright spot for the Raiders is that Brock Bowers looks like the real deal. I could see this guy being a star tight end. He looks like it. He's the best weapon they have now since Daniels is out. No disrespect to Jacoby Myers, but this guy is younger, has more juice, so I like him a lot. 28 receptions, 313 yards, and 1 touchdown. Really good. And like I said, Myers has some respectable numbers. 25 receptions for 273 yards and 1 touchdown. And Madsen, who will be replacing White, has 200 total yards, 228 total yards, and 2 touchdowns. So no terrible. He's better in the passing game than he is in the rushing game. And let's talk about O'Connell's last year's numbers, because this year he doesn't have so much to show. So last year, O'Connell, who will be starting in place of Gardner Minshew, started 11 games. He had 12 touchdowns with 7 picks and 2,218 yards. So not bad. He was a rookie that year. So maybe he could add a spark to this Raiders team who desperately need it. Now let's get to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers have lost 2 in a row. That is to the Colts and to the Dallas Cowboys. Not a good look. But they only lost to them a combination of 6 points. So not terrible. They're in it to the end. They're 3-2 against the spread and have gone 0-2 in the last 2 games against the spread. Justin Fields looks pretty good under Arthur Smith. 1,133 total yards, 8 total touchdowns, and only 1 interception. And he has a 97.1 QB rating. And 5 touchdowns passing and 1 pick. So he's not turning the ball over when he's passing the ball. No running game. Like I said, they have Najee Harris and Warren. Warren's questionable. Najee Harris doesn't matter. The guy's slow as dirt. So I don't think he's worth even mentioning. Justin Fields is the biggest rushing threat. Against AFC West teams, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-1 in the last 5 matchups. So that's really good. And they're holding teams to 14.1 points a game. So that is pretty good, So also they're 2-1 against the spread on the road. Another good statistic. When I look at this game, the Raiders are just in a disarray. New quarterback change. I know they can add a spark, but I just can't see it. They have no running game either. The running game is actually worse than Pittsburgh's running game. No Adams. Max Crosby's all beat up. They're heart and soul their defense. So give me the. I like Pittsburgh to cover this number easily. I think O'Connell will show some flashes, but I could see Pittsburgh at the end just coming and doing scoring a touchdown and winning the game by 4 points or more. The over-under in this game, staying away 36 points, but if I was going to bet it, I'd take the over 36.5. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers could pit 20 points on them, 24 maybe. So, but my main play is Pittsburgh eating the points, eating the 3 points. I think they cover the 3 points easily. And if I was going to bet the over and under, give me the over 36.5. All right, well, with this game, we have the battle of the defenses. That is the Chargers versus the Broncos in Denver, with the Chargers being a 3-point favorite and the over-under being 35.5. Chargers coming off a bye. They desperately needed it. Both their tackles were hurt. I believe they're getting both of them back. They definitely need Joel Alt back, their superstar rookie tackle, looking really good. Herbert needed the rest. He was a bit banged up, so having him a little more healthier is just good for this team. Bosa is questionable, so keep an eye on that. Bosa and Mack are the heart and soul of that defense. But you know what? These two teams, they just can't score the ball. They're some of the worst offenses in this league. Get this. The Chargers haven't scored a touchdown in the second half since week 1. That is awful. Terrible, terrible, and awful. Combined terrible and awful. So, but who does Herbert got to throw to? Quinn Johnson? Okay. The other rookie, McConkey? Okay. Not great. They are a running team. Since Greg Roman and Harbaugh got in there, they just want to run. They average 127 yards per game when they're running the ball. They put up 17 points a game, which is ranked 28th, and they average 263 total yards a game, which is ranked 29th. Not good. Herbert's numbers, 574 passing yards, not good. 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, not good. That's good. So he's not turning the ball over. But they have no wide receivers to talk about. I'm not even going to really mention them. They're just mediocre at this point because they are a running team, with Dobbins leading the team with 56 carries, 342 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Gus Edwards, the guy is a shell of himself. He's not looking good at all. So I think he's not going to get that much time anyways. But the defense is leading the way on this team. They are allowing only 12.5 points a game, which is ranked number 1. I repeat that. They're only allowing 12.5 points a game. But when you dig in, they've played the Raiders, Panthers, and Steelers. They beat the Raiders and Panthers. Raiders and Panthers have crappy offenses, and they beat the Steelers. The Steelers have a crappy offense. So I'm not impressed with this. They did hold the Chiefs to 17 points, so that's all right. But the Chiefs, I don't know what the hell's wrong with them this year. They're not doing so great. They're having a lot of Mahomes being a little bumpy, but still admirable. They're allowing 282 total yards per game, not bad, and they're 10th against the pass and 6th against the run, which is really good because the Broncos like to rush this game. So them being ranked 6th is pretty damn good. And they're only allowing 188 yards in the passing yards. So really good. But remember the statistic. They haven't scored a damn touchdown in the second half since week 1. That blew my mind. Unbelievable. Let's talk about the Broncos. They've won 3 in a row. I am not a Broncos believer. Some people are. Colin Cowherd believes that he's a believer. I'm not for sure if I'm a Bo Nix fan either. But just like the Chargers, they are a defensive team. The defense leads the way. Surprisingly, Bo Nix had his best game last week. Good for him. They beat out the crappy, lonely Raiders, so nothing really to brag about. They held the Jets to 9 points, so that's something. And they beat the Buccaneers, which is the biggest, in my estimation, the biggest, really they can hang their hat on that they beat a good Buccaneers offense. Now the Buccaneers were hurt, but no excuse. They put up 26 points and hold them to 7 points. So good win by them. Broncos have the most pressures and the second most sacks in the league with 15. So they have the most QB pressures and the second most sacks. So they're getting after the quarterback, which is great because I have their defense in fantasy. They're third in yards allowed with 271 yards per game. And Bo Nix for a total 866 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 4 picks. And like I said, he had his best game last week. So with that all being said, 2 offenses who are not so great. They both depend on the run. Bo Nix, they depend a little more on his legs. And the Chargers depending on Dobbins. So with this game, the under being 35.5, Vegas predicting possibly a slow-scoring game. The Chargers can't score a touchdown in the second half if their life depended on it. But if I have to choose, give me the better quarterback and give me the better defense in the Chargers, as they're holding only teams at 12.5. So give me the Chargers minus the 3 or 2.5, wherever you can get it. I think that's the best play. Also, I think this game can possibly go under 35.5. If you get a higher number than that to go under, take it. I see this possibly an 18 to 13 game or 18 to 10, 17 to 10 game. That's how I see it, with Chargers pulling away and covering the 3 points. We have a solid divisional game here. We got the Falcons versus the Panthers in Carolina, with Atlanta being a 6-point favorite and the over-under being 47 points. This game's played on Fox at 4:30 p.m. You know, Atlanta had a good, tough win against the Buccaneers in overtime. Buccaneers should have won, but they won it. They beat Philadelphia. Philadelphia should have won. So they beat a lot of these good teams right down to the wire. But that shows grit by the Atlanta Falcons, I believe. So, and Kirk Cousins had his best game last week. 509 yards passing, I believe 4 touchdowns and only 1 interception in that game. So really great. That gives him a total of 8 touchdowns and 5 picks. You want to see those interception numbers go down because that's usually Kirk's and not his MO. So, you know, you would like to have those numbers come down. You know, I think B.J. Robinson and the backup running back, Tyler Algier, are going to have a great game this game because I believe the Panthers have the worst rush defense. So not looking good for the Panthers in that aspect. You know, Panthers, they also can't rush the QB. And when Kirk Cousins is not rush, when he's not under pressure, he has 8 touchdowns and no interceptions. So you got to get to him. If you can't get to him, because he stays in his little pocket there, he does not run. So if you don't get to him, he's gonna light you up. And the Panthers have so many injuries. They've lost their 2 starting linebackers for the year, and their best defender, Brown, he's out as well. So not good for them. And I also said the first 5 games for the Falcons have been tough teams. This is like their first team against a really bad team. So they get kind of a break going to Carolina and playing this team. But like I said, Drake London looks good. B.J. Robinson looks good. They have a good interior offensive lineman who look really great. And, you know, for the most part, they're pretty healthy, the Atlanta Falcons. And, you know, I think Kirk is getting more comfortable, more in the pocket, and he's becoming healthier off that knee. He's not really throwing off his back leg that much, so that's something to watch out. But he still blew out the Buccaneers. Let's get to the Panthers. You know, they're still better they're still better with Andy Dalton than they are with Bryce Young. They did get blown out by the Bears. I called it. I gave you guys to take as one of my best bets that the Bears would win mine to cover the 4 points. I actually had the Bears covering 7 points, an alternate bet. So they got blown out by them. But the Bears had they have a very good defense. So, you know, they kind of run into a buzzsaw there. But, you know, they're still better with Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton, 675 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. Not good. Bryce Young couldn't do that. Bryce Young wouldn't even keep his team in any of the games. He would be thrown to other players against the opposite team. So Andy Dalton's still putting some respectable numbers. But what I believe this team, why it sticks in games or it could pit at points against others, because some of these overs, the Panthers are pitting up some good numbers. I believe because of 2 things. Their offensive linemen are great run blocking tight linemen, and Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard's having a great year. He finally has a quarterback to help him take the pressure off him. He has 68 carries for 393 yards with 2 touchdowns, 17 receptions for 82 yards and only 1 touchdown. So that's almost 500. That's almost 500 yards, total yards, and 3 total touchdowns. It's pretty good for a team that's 1-4. So really good from Chuba Hubbard and that great tier offensive lineman. But a little bad news for the Panthers coming to this game is that their starting center and right tackle are out for the game. So what I just said doesn't help that their 2 starters are out for the game. And their defense is down 4 starters. 4 starters. And their best, currently their best rusher, DN, is Clowney. And Clowney is hurt with a shoulder injury. So not good. You have all these guys injured. The one guy who could possibly get to the quarterback is beat up. And they have the last ranked defense. Teams are pinning over 30 points against them. So that all being said, with the Falcons coming off a tough win against the Buccaneers going in overtime, I think that the Panthers are going to put points on Atlanta. I do. I think because the Atlanta can't rush the quarterback either. So it's 2 teams who can't get to the quarterback. So give me over 47. Atlanta to cover the 6 points. I believe they can cover for 6 points. But I do believe this is going to be a 30-20 game or a 28-20 game. I do believe the Panthers could put at least 20 points against this team because Atlanta can't get to the quarterback. So I think Chuba Hubbard could get some real good rushing yards, and Andy Dalton will give him some time to get to his wide receivers. And vice versa with Atlanta. And I think Robinson will get a rushing touchdown. He only has 1 rushing touchdown, but give me Robinson anytime touchdown. So with that all being said, Atlanta minus a 6. The over 47 and Bijan Robinson anytime TD. Put that in the bank. Well, we have a high potential of this game being a shootout. Lions versus Cowboys. Detroit being the favorite in Dallas. The over/under at 52.5. Detroit, great offense, great weapons. Jamal Williams, St. Brown, Laporta, the best 1-2 punch running game in the league. Great offensive line. They get Frank Ragnow back, their starting center, so getting him back is really great. Like I said, the best 1-2 punch running game in the league. Lightning and Thunder. Gibbs, 285 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Montgomery, 271 yards and 4 touchdowns. These guys are just beating teams bloodily with their rushing attack. Goff having a decent year himself. You like to have better numbers. I think he has 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, so not too great. But he has all the weapons in the world to pass to, so that's good on him. And he has over 1,000 yards passing, so not terrible. But they need to score that much. They need to score a bunch of points because their secondary not so great. Their rookie cornerback, I believe, leads the league in penalties. If not, he leads all cornerbacks with penalties. So that's not what you want to see. And their other starting cornerback, Davis III, not good. Quarterbacks are having a passing rating of 118.9 QB rating against their starting corners. Not good. So you can see why they got to put up a lot of points here. Goff should have plenty of time to pass the ball. Dallas are decimated in the defense with injuries, especially Parsons being gone. So I think he'll have a lot of time with their great offensive line and passing and distributing to all the weapons they have. Lions are 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 games, so that's good. They get also Brian Branch, their starting safety, back for this game. So reinforcements are coming for the Detroit. And I guess if you're a Cowboys bettor, the Lions have lost 6 straight games to the Cowboys. So, something to hang your hat on. And talking about the Cowboys, good game against the Pittsburgh. I thought Pittsburgh was going to win that game, but good win, close game. Pittsburgh has a solid, good defense. Fields is looking real good. So good game. They're still one-dimensional. They can't run the ball, but Rico, the running back, who's pretty much taken over as a lead back over Ezekiel Elliott, he's been doing pretty good. Not pretty good. He's been doing all right. Not too bad. Better than Ezekiel Elliott. Elliott's washed. You know, another thing that Cowboy bettors or Cowboy fans can hang their hat on, CeeDee Lamb lit this team up last year. I mean, he put over, I believe, 200 yards receiving. Yes, he put over 277 yards receiving on 13 catches. So they lit him up, and the Detroit Lions love playing man-to-man, and Lamb eats up man-to-man defenses. So keep an eye on that, and keep an eye on that player prop if you want Lamb over over his receiving yards. Getting back to some numbers here with the Cowboys. Cowboys may be getting back their starting quarterback Bland and possibly their rookie Carson. So they might be getting back their two corners. Bland, they would love to have back. I think he led them in 5 interceptions last year. So getting Bland back would be beneficial for them because Detroit have plenty of weapons. And a little downer here, the Cowboys are 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 games, going back to last year as well. But the Cowboys are 16-3 straight up in their last 19 games at home. So, you know, the number I don't get, -3 points. The Detroit is the favorite, and I figured this was be a 5 points, give or take. I know it's in Dallas, but, you know, with all the defenders who are hurt for the Cowboys, I just don't know how they get to Goff. I don't know how they get to Goff. I know they might get Bland back at corner, and maybe that helps them in the passing game, but I can't see this team. I can't see the Cowboys winning this game. They beat Pittsburgh by 3 points, but Pittsburgh's offense is not that great. It's Justin Fields using his legs and getting the ball to Perkins and Fairmouth, their tight end, once in a while. So because of all the problems, all the injuries of the Dallas Cowboys on the defensive side, I'm taking Detroit, eating the 3 points. I think they could cover it. I think I could see them win this game 30-24. So I obviously like the over in this game, and I like Montgomery for an anytime touchdown as well, because the Dallas are not a good rushing defense. So give me Detroit covering the number, over 52.5. I think both those are very strong plays, and I like the Montgomery for anytime TD. And in the last game for Sunday, we have the Bengals versus the Giants, Cincinnati being the 3.5 favorite, and the over and under being 47 points. You know, I feel bad for Joe Burrow. The guy's having an MVP type year, and his defense is just crappy. They can't get to the quarterback. They're letting teams score 29, 30 points, I believe, a game against them, which is the second to last ranked in the NFL. You know, so Joe Burrow's throwing 1,370 yards so far, 12 touchdowns and 2 interceptions only. So he's not turning the ball over. They have a great 1-2 punch in Zach Moss and Chase Brown. They have one of the best wide receivers in the league, top 3 for sure. And Jamar Chase, he has over 493 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns. You know, their offense is really great. They put up 263 passing yards a game. They put up 28 points a game, which is ranked 4th in both those categories in the NFL. But their defense sucks. Their defense is just terrible. They can't get to the quarterback whatsoever. Let's get to the Giants. The big win against Seattle. Caught Seattle on the right day. They're pretty beat up. They're beat up at the time. The defensive line. Seattle was tired. You know, the Giants, you know, their offensive line is better than people think. Daniel Jones himself is better than people think. He has over 1,138 yards passing with 6 touchdowns, only 3 picks. Hey, that's pretty good for Daniel Jones. Danny Dimes is having a decent year, and he has 108 yards rushing too. So not too shabby. The guy is protecting the ball, and he's putting up some decent numbers. But here's the thing. In this game, they have no Neighbors. Neighbors is his best weapon. They have Robinson, and they do have Shepard. And they're also without Singletary in this game probably. So Tracy, I believe the guy's name is the backup running back. So here are 2 statistics that stick out to me. The Giants haven't won a home game yet. I know it's still week 6. They're 2-3, but they still haven't won at home. What the hell is that all about? They're without Neighbors, don't forget, and Singletary. But here's the most telling statistic to me. Giants have won only one of their past 14 primetime games with Daniel Jones as the quarterback. So this guy cannot win when the big lights are on him. So because of that, Neighbors being out, Singletary being out, Bengals defense is not good, but the Giants offense is not so great either. Even though they're putting some decent numbers, they both have decent offensive lines. So with that, I think the best play is taking the over at 47. I think the Bengals are going to put up their 26 to 27, to 30 points on the Giants. And I think the Giants can put up 17 to 20 points on this team. So I think this thing could get to 48 to 50 points. And I like the Bengals to cover the number 3.5. Give me the better quarterback. Give me the better wide receivers. And give me the better running backs. So just give me the better offense in general over the Giants. I believe the Bengals offense is better than the Seahawks offense. So I don't think it's going to be like last week's game. So because of that, I like the Bengals to cover the number, the over 47, and Joe Burrow over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I believe those are the big three things that you should bet on, but in particular, the over 47. And the last game of the week, we have the Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets. Buffalo being favored by 2.5, and the over and under being 41 points. Monday Night Football in New York. You know, these two teams, seems like they're both trending down, you know. We got Bills losing 2 in a row to the Ravens and the Texans. Tough loss against the Texans last week, but a blowout loss to the Ravens. Ravens handing a beating to them. And the Jets are being the Jets. They're being disarray, crazy. They fired their head coach. They demoted their offensive coordinator, which that's probably a good one. But it seems like it's disarray over there, disorganized. You know, the Bills, what are you going to do? They really don't have any weapons other than Allen and Cook. Think about it. Shakir, their best wide receiver. Are you really scared of him? Is anybody really scared of him? I don't think anybody is. And he's questionable for the game. So, you know, I don't think anybody is afraid of Shakir. They have Kincaid, not bad, but I don't think Kincaid's moving any numbers here for anybody. And if you think about it, the only wins the Bills have are against terrible teams. The 3 wins they have, those teams are a combined 5 wins and 10 losses. That being the Cardinals, Dolphins, and Jaguars. 2 of those teams are terrible, really terrible. Cardinals a bit respectable, but nothing to write home about. So they're a bit of fool's gold. They're 0-2 without Von Miller. Von Miller had a lot of QB pressures, had a sack a game, and they probably miss his leadership. So that's another thing you have to take from this. They're missing Von Miller. And, you know, I don't know how they're averaging 28 points a game because they have no good weapons. I'm guessing, you know, it has to be Allen and Cook, Cook and Allen. So, you know, what are you going to do? Allen was terrible last week, 9 for 30 for 131 yards. Both of Buffalo's losses are on the road, and they have to play. They're going on the road to the Jets. They're 2-3 against the spread. But I guess the one thing you can hang their hat on besides Jared Allen and Cook is that the Bills never lost 3 games in a row after starting 3-0. So in franchise history, they have never lost 3 games in a row after starting 3-0. Do the Jets break the trend? I don't know. But let's talk about the Jets. Disorganized, looks a little crazy. Aaron Rodgers being arrogant and doing crazy stuff, going on the Pat McAfee show and talking crazy stuff. They lose their head coach. He gets fired. And the offensive coordinator, like I said, the guy got demoted, which is good. Hackett was garbage. You know, Jets, another team that have only been teams they've only been terrible teams. Both these teams have beaten up on terrible teams, and they lost to the Broncos. Every team the Jets have lost to, they have lost to winning teams with winning records. So it looks like the Jets are not in competition with the winning teams. And they lost to the Broncos 10-9. They put up 9 points. It's pathetic. They have plenty of weapons: Garrett Wilson, Conklin, Lazard, Mike Williams, Breece Hall, Allen, and they only put 9 points against the Denver Broncos. Now, Denver Broncos defense is really good, but I think that says a lot more about the Jets than it says about the Broncos. But one of the key things I think is wrong with the Jets, and I think if they do this, they correct this, they could actually beat the Bills. The Jets are passing 64% of the time. The Jets need to become a rushing team. They need to give the ball to Allen and Breece Hall and have all the offense run through them. Rush 55% a game because Aaron Rodgers does not look the same. Garrett Wilson is probably the best out of the whole receiving core. Lazard, he's not a bad number 2, but I don't know. He's nothing to write home about. And Mike Williams is so injured prone, and he's not even getting the ball a lot. And they have a decent tight end. But they need to use Breece Hall and Allen. They need to become a primary running team and use the play action so Aaron Rodgers can go over the top or throw Garrett Wilson in the middle of the field. So I think they have to become a rushing team to beat the Bills. So all that being said, I think the best bet for this game is the under 41. The Jets still have a very good very good defense. And the Buffalo Bills have no weapons, and their best wide receiver is going to be out for the game. So it's just going to be Cook and Allen and probably Kincaid. But I'm not really trusting Kincaid. I think the Jets are going to hold Allen a bit, not let him run over all of the field. So I think this is going to be a 2017 game, 23-14 game, or 21-14 game. So give me the Jets and the Buffalo Bills under 41. And if I was going to bet this game, I'd take Jets plus the points. Take them any points you can get, 2.5, 3.5. Take the points. I think it's going to be a tight game, but give me the under 41 points as my best play. Well, guys, those are my predictions for Week 6 in the NFL. I think this is going to be a fun week with some good division games, some good matchups. This is going to be fun, some really snooze fest games. You have it. It's going to be a fun week. Please tell me who you think are going to win. What are your favorite bets? But before we end this, let me give you my 3 favorite best bets for this week in Week 6. I broke all the games down for you. I told you what games I would bet on and who I would choose on which side or what player prop or what over under. But these are my best bets, my 3 favorite games. Last week we went 2-3, should have went 3-3, but the San Francisco 49ers kicker got injured. But let me give you my best 3 picks this week, Week 6 in the NFL. And my first best bet for Week 6 is the Packers to cover the 5 or 5.5, wherever you can get it. I think the Cardinals are too inconsistent. You never know what you're going to get from them. And Murray has to play Superman. They have a terrible rush. The Cardinals defense is terrible in general. I think the Packers, they know they have to keep up with the Vikings and the Lions to make the playoffs or stay relevant in general. And I think Jacobs has a good game, and I think Loves throws over 2 touchdowns in this game as well. So if you want to bet that, go ahead. But give me the Packers to cover the 5 or 5.5 against this terrible Arizona defense. And in this game, it's a bit ugly. The second best bet I like is the over in the Pittsburgh Steelers and Raiders game at 36.5. The Raiders are switching a new quarterback. I believe that's going to light a little fire underneath the Raiders. Now, the Raiders don't have Devontae Adams. I get it. And they don't have White. White's not that good of a running back anyways. But I think O'Connell has his 2 tight ends in Myers and Bowers. Good 1 and 2 punch for tight end. And he has Jacoby Myers, who is very reliable. And they have Madsen at running back, who's a good passing catch running back. But I also think that the Steelers are going to get some turnovers on the Raiders. They're going to get some interceptions, some fumble recoveries, and they're going to cause havoc, and that's going to lead Justin Fields to get more opportunities to score. I like the Pittsburgh Steelers to put up 20 to 24 points in this game, and I like the Raiders to put up two scores, 14 points, 13 points, but I think the Pittsburgh are going to score enough points to get over that 36.5. So give me the over in the Raiders and Steelers game, 36 points and a half. And our last game, another team that I think is getting a little too much juice, still has too much juice, is the Panthers. The Panthers are still terrible defense, the worst defense in the league. They can't get to the quarterback at all. And when you give Kirk Cousins enough time, he will light you up. He has 8 touchdowns and no picks when he's not under pressure. Also, I think B.J. Robinson's going to have a big game as well. So because the Panthers are injured, they have so many injuries on the defense, and because they will not be able to get to Kirk Cousins, I think Kirk Cousins is going to feast on this team. So give me Atlanta minus the 6 points. All right, guys, those are my best bets, my Week 16 predictions. We went through all of them. I gave you my best bets that I'm actually going to bet myself. So with that, guys, this week's going to be fun, exciting. I think I gave you 3 realistic bets. I am pumped. I can't wait. Last week was a good, profitable week. The last 2 weeks were really great, profitable. For my player props, all the Week 5 predictions, if you went through them, I had a winning record. But with that, I hope Week 6 is really good to you. I hope it's good to me. If you follow my best bets, let me know. Tell me in the comments, what are your best bets? What games you like? I love hearing it and getting information from all these different people. I love doing this. So thank you for coming and watching my small little channel. Hopefully it grows and grows. Please like and subscribe. I would love if you did that. And I can't wait till NBA season starts. We will start doing predictions for that before the season starts. So with that, guys, thank you for tuning in for my Week 6 predictions. Hopefully you win some money. I win some money. And as always, I will see you in the next one.